Okay, so I'll start with this. Who here grew up going to the Jersey Shore? Okay, some of you guys, that's great. So some of you are from Philly, I can tell. So I think that the shore point you grew up going to as a child, kind of illustrated what your childhood home life was like. Like if your parents took you to Atlantic City as a child, you knew how to spell intervention at a young age. And if you grew up going to Ocean City, New Jersey, you were not allowed to watch Cartoon Network. Like that's just a fact. I grew up going to Wildwood, so I'm diet white trash. Thank you. Thank you, yes. Diet white trash means that you don't drink beer on the beach with koozies. You drink beer on the beach with Five Below Stanley tumblers. So I was in Wildwood like a week ago on the beach, and a white trash hard family was setting up camp near us. And I say hard because the man of the family had an ankle monitor on. Right below a Blue Lives Matter tattoo. And I wasn't fine with them at first. We were cool. And then they started like straight up smoking cigs on the beach. And I was like, I'm maybe a little bit of a Karen, but that's a little too far from me. I got asthma, I'm a little nerd. So I'm go over to them to like kind of tell them to chill. And the wife of Mr. Ankle Monitor looks at me and says, "Oh my God, girl, I love your tattoos. They're so cute." So that's how I had my first cigarette. It was disgusting. But on this Wildwood trip, me and my friends were like talking about what cartoon characters like we would be. And I was like feeling really edgy in the moment because I'm like an emo kid that never grew up, and I'm like, I would be Invader Zim, grr. But in all honesty, I work at a restaurant, I don't drive, and I'm asexual. I'm SpongeBob fucking SquarePants. Like, that's just who I am. So I'm asexual, I think, which means that I have like no romantic or sexual desires. I'm the most boring letter in the LGBTQIA community. So while everyone else is at Pride like dry humping and fucking, I'm just like in front of Wishbone eating fried chicken. Like that's just who I am. But no, being asexual is like interesting because like I said, I never had like sexual desires. And I should have known from a young age because when I bought my first vibrator, I used it to get the kink out of my neck. Like that was the first thing I did. What sucks about being asexual though is that all my friends are partnered up. So I really don't like going to amusement parks with them. You know what I mean? Because on roller coasters, there are only 2-seater rides. So like all my friends are with their boyfriends and their girlfriends. And then I'm just in the back with like a 7-year-old child named Gregory. He's got a snot bubble and he's alone because his older sister didn't want to go on the ride. I leave the ride and he's somehow holding my fucking hand. I'm like, can his parents get him? But no, my friends are more sexually adventurous than me, I've come to realize. Like I have a friend that lives in West Philly. She's a gentrifier, it's okay, we don't talk about it. She lives in West Philly and she missed a party of mine because she was going to a transgender Passover orgy. And just saying that sentence made a Delco conservative have a stroke. Like he heard it from afar and just died. But no, a transgender Passover orgy is exactly what the title says. An orgy of transgender people during Passover. So my friend went to that and she was telling me, I didn't really want to go. All my neighbors and coworkers were going, so I just felt like I had to go. I didn't want to be left out. And I'm like, okay, are transgender Passover orgies like the West Philly equivalent of watching the White Lotus? Like you don't really want to do it, but it's the water cooler talk of the neighborhood. You have to do it. My parents are also more sexually active than I am. And I bet you're wondering, how do I know that? Well, my parents are very open in a Jewish way. Not in a creepy way, but in like a very Jewish, like, way. The best way to describe it, honestly, and I know I'm like struggling to make this not creepy. The best way to describe this is I know not to call my parents first on Thursdays. And that is because they have sex after going to Walmart. How do I know this? Because my mom draws a little heart on the calendar every Thursday. Right? Like, that's wholesome. I like relationship goals, even though I'm asexual. But my mom, I think, is like, she always wanted a gay kid, you know? Like, she prayed that gay is the way. And it's because she loves Sex in the City. So my mom always wants to know about, like, my sexual adventures. And she was talking to me, like, during my time of experimenting and was like, so, get into any trouble? And I have to be like, well, I almost had a threesome the other night, but the man had a lazy eye and I didn't want him to watch. So it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Sometimes my friends like don't get that I'm asexual and try to like hook me up with people. Like, oh my God, when Love is Blind was like casting Philly people, I got DM'd about that like 7 times. Did anybody else get like those messages? Any single people? Right? Like it was a miserable week. And I'm like, that's the reality show, like dating competition show where they don't see you. Thanks for saying I have a butter face. Like, thank you. But like, I don't think I have a butter face, you know? I don't. I have a butter voice. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like people see me from afar and they're like, okay, something here. And then I go over to them and say hi, and they're like, oh my God, Elmer Fudd has a hipster sister? They're like, what the fuck, you wascally wabbit? It's a shame. I'm kind of lying. Like, nobody sent me Love is Blind casting calls. Love on the Spectrum, though? I got sent that a lot. I'm not even lying. It's a great show. It just makes me a little uncomfortable because it's like looking in a mirror sometimes. I'm like, ugh, no. I took a test to prove to my friends that I wasn't autistic. And guys, I passed with flying colors. Or flying jigsaw pieces, however you want to look at it. But I'm also autistic, if you couldn't tell by how I look like the boy from Moonrise Kingdom, by choice. And I told my mom that I passed the autism test. And like usually when like you take these online tests, people are like, oh, you should get a doctor to verify that. But with me, everyone was like, yeah. Yeah. So that was my mom's reaction pretty much. And she was trying to like look at, not the bright side, but like the fun side. And she was like, I heard autism was like a superpower. Cool, so instead of getting to fly, I get to know 3 hours worth of Alvin and the Chipmunks facts. Fun. And then when I told my friends, they said I had a Chuck E. Cheese diet, so it was obvious. Which means I eat like a 7-year-old. Which, to be honest, I think I'm a little better than that. Like, I honestly have a belief that, you know those restaurants that give out t-shirts if you finish a whole steak? Restaurants should give those like dorky propeller hats to people who order chicken fingers and fries past the age of 21. And I would have a lot of propeller hats, like more, like that would be my collection, because I am guilty of that. But what kind of bothers me is when people act like autism is this new thing that like never existed before. Like it's a disease, it's new. Autism has always been a thing. We just didn't know what to call it. Like, have you seen a gangster movie from the 90s? Like, in gangster movies from the 90s, the narrator will be like, yeah, this is Jimmy 2 times. We call him that because he says everything twice in a row. We don't know why he does it. He just does it. This is Solly Bug Eyes. We call him that because he can't make eye contact. None. And can't forget about Little Mo with the gimpy leg. And I'm like, cool, so autistic people have always existed. They just had fun nicknames back in the day. Sometimes I think of what my like gangster autistic name would be, but then I always just end up on Elmer Fudd, and I'm like, yeah, it would be Elmer Fudd. But thank you guys so much. You've been a great crowd.